Hey review family, keep it high, keep it tight. My name is Jay Morris and welcome back to the Metal Tempest. And in this video I'm just going to be giving you 5 new record recommendations that I think that you guys would enjoy. In a pinned comment down in the comment section below, you guys can find links to listen to all of these records if they interest you. What are some of your favorite metal records that have released recently? Let me know down below. But without further ado, let's get right into it. First off, the record Iniquitous Barbaric Synthesis by the band Impetuous Ritual. Ain't that an alliteration? This band is one that I was not familiar with prior to stumbling on this, and they've been kind of quietly releasing material for a little bit now. They are signed to Profound Lore Records. This is their 4th studio-length album, and they have ties to the band Portal, with 2 of the members being members of Portal, but Impetuous Ritual actually predate Portal. This is some thick, murky death metal infused with doom metal, and I think you can draw a lot of comparisons to Portal. Obviously, the winding labyrinths of the riffs, you're getting some very creepy, dirge-like riffage, but the crypticness of everything is like hard to be tangible, with some very eerie percussion and a very dense and insulated production style, which makes everything feel like it is behind like a wall of caked mud. Extremely freakish solos. This is a very gnarled up and twisted up record. It is so noticeably death doom, but it's also so experimental in how it's produced. A lot of the sound definitely comes through with the production properly, and I think all of the playing is just amplified by the production. It feels like the musical equivalent of Insanity. It's distorted, it's uneasy, there's a level of discordance to it that makes everything just feel a little off-kilter, and I think that's the reason that this is such a great record. And because of how insulated and hard to decipher this record is on first listen, it might blow past you, and on repeated listens I think there is a lot to dissect. Next up, Parallax Occlusion with Vapor Chamber. This is a compilation from a 2-piece death metal project with a little bit of other influences, but mostly just a chunky death metal project with all of the hallmarks, all of the good shit. Like I said, this is a compilation. It is a roundup of tracks and singles that have been released throughout the years. They've released a split and 2 demos, and this record puts it all together, plus a System of a Down cover. If you're a fan of the modern OSDM worship bands, but you aren't a fan of the way that they produce things to be so murky, this has a lot more of a hard-hitting and fiercely audible production style. And putting this thing on full blast is, pun unintended, a blast. Relentless blast beating, surprisingly earwormy riffs and flashy solos, not to mention just frazzled out solos. I suppose the only thing is I wish the vocals were a little turned up in the mix, but I guess it is a breath of fresh air to not have an OSDM band that just makes the vocals swallow the mix like a killer whale, so I can appreciate it. Next up, it had to be here, Decaps' new record, Terracite. I won't spoil too much of my opinions of this record because I do plan on doing a review of it, but this is just more extremely precise and engineered cattle decapitation style that you got on older records. I think this is much more in line with the Anthropocene Extinction and Monolith of Inhumanity than it is Death Atlas. They are still laying into the cataclysmic nature of everything, but it doesn't feel nearly as end of the world as Death Atlas. It does have this strange, like, morbidly melancholic nature to some of the riffage and the macabre nature of it. Travis Ryan continues to be a vocal chameleon, doing all sorts of gymnastics with his vocal styles and bringing into the fold new ideas and new ways of morphing his vocals into a chameleon. Failure Will Follow and Step Into the Light are the 2 new albums from the Acacia Strain. And yeah, these are 2 records that are kind of diametrically opposed in the way that they are written, with Failure Will Follow taking more of an experimental approach, very doom-inspired, very sludge-inspired. I saw one person joke about them being more influenced by, like, Primitive Man after going on tour with them. But yeah, Failure Will Follow is very stoner-influenced, you can tell, and the chanting vocals, the sludgy riffs, it is extremely deserty. More melodic, I would say, more toned down, slower paced. If this thing wasn't already feeling like a sludge metal record, the gritty bass tone just chopping through the mix like a buzzsaw makes it even more palpable. Step Into the Light, I will say, is more of what you would expect from the Acacia Strain. Just some hard-hitting, chunky, guitar-led deathcore music with ferocious vocals, visceral production, and I think for that reason I do enjoy Failure Will Follow more, just because I think think it is more of a breath of fresh air and some really interesting instrumentation coming out of the Acacia Strain. Spore Autumn Ugoth with However It Still Moves. Man, from the background of this release, to the name, to the inspiration, to the sound, this thing gets me smiling like an idiot. It is despondent death doom in the classical veneer, but it is H.P. Lovecraft inspired. Wow, is that a surprise? They have some releases under their belt, but this is the debut album. Wow, this thing has monstrous, pounding percussion, hellish riffs, and a fantastic mix. It's intimidating, it pulls no punches, and it doesn't try to pretend to be something it's not. And even though I will say it is pretty straightforward, there are a lot of experimental moments in the layering and the background embellishments, but for the most part, this is a pretty straightforward death doom record with a really dreary and desolate tone. I really love it when you see these bands and artists that really lay into this atmospheric, dreary tone. It's so macabre and Victorian, and it just plays into the horror aesthetic, especially when you're dealing with something like H.P. Lovecraft. Yeah, definitely check this thing out. But what are your favorite records that have been releasing recently, metal or not? Let me know down in the comment section below. I can't wait to hear it. Like I said, all of the records I talk about here will be linked down in the comment section below, and a pinned comment if you want to check them out for yourself. Otherwise, be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to join the review family today, and smash that notification bell to be notified of my future uploads. You know who it is. My name is Jay Morris, and I'm signing off saying farewell.